So good afternoon to you all. So I am Dr. Sayyid Ilyas from Department of Botany, Anjuman Khairul Islam's Pune College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Pune. I am here with advances in protein research. So before going to start our discussion, I am very much thankful to the chief organizer and principal of this college, Dr. B.D. Kandare sir, Dr. S.K. Kamalkar, Vice Principal of this college, Dr. B.P. Sarvade, Vice Principal and Head Department of Botany of this college and Coordinator of this International E-Conference. I am also thankful to Dr. R.B. Kakade, Convener of this conference, Dr. R.S. Gaikwad, Organizing Secretary of this E-Conference, and at last I am thankful to Dr. T.B. Dhonge, IQAC Coordinator of this college. So I am thankful to all of you for this E-Conference. So we'll start our today's discussion with advances in protein research. We know well, in our diet, we require 5 food constituents: proteins, carbohydrate, fat, vitamins and minerals. So I am going to highlight the protein aspect. We know well, when we talk about protein research, we should know how much minimum protein requirement in our diet. The minimum protein requirement is estimated to be approximately 0.5 grams per kg of the body weight in adult human. For example, if a person is having 50 kilograms of body weight, it means that the daily requirement of protein, that is 25 grams. If a person is having their body weight 60 kg, it means that 30 grams of daily protein requirement should be there in the diet. So this is very important. In growing child, the minimum requirement for optimum growth and development may be more than 3 grams per kg of the body weight. So remember well, pregnancy and lactation would increase the minimum protein requirement for nitrogen balance. In addition to this, the amount of protein available for human consumption in various regions of the world vary from 50 to 100 grams per day per inhabitant depending on the socio-economic condition. However, more than half of the world population consumes less than 50 grams of protein per day, of which 80% is of plant origin. So remember well, if we want to provide protein or nutritious protein to the growing population, then how it is possible? Our population is increasing as per Malthus rule. What is Malthus rule? 2 plus 2 plus 2 is equal to 6, wherein 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 is not equal to 6. It is increased value, and our population is increasing with this rate. So to provide nutritious food to this developed population or to this increased population, it is a prime question in front of the scientist to provide this food material. And for that, we have recommended some alternate sources for the animal origin, the protein or the food originated from the animals. It should be from the plant origin. And Professor N.W. Pyrie in the year 1971 proposed one concept of protein supplement, that is leaf protein concentrate. And this leaf protein concentrate isolated from the plants. So we have focused on the lucerne plant. So this lucerne plant, that is Medicago sativa, it is also called as golden queen, queen of the fodder. It is also called as berseem. It is a very important plant. In case of animal feed, we can use this particular lucerne plant as an animal feed. The hay prepared or the silage prepared from this Medicago sativa is very important. Worldwide accepted technique, that is silage preparation. In addition to that, isolation of leaf protein is very important, and that isolated protein we have used for similarity searches or further advanced research purpose. So the nutritional properties of the proteins isolated from the lucerne, that is a great importance. So with regards to the nutritional properties and information of alfalfa, this plant is rich in vitamins such as vitamin A, vitamin C, B1, B6, vitamin E and vitamin K. In addition to this, it is also rich in proteins, calcium, carotene, zinc, iron and potassium. Not only with this, in addition to all these benefits, there are certain health benefits and therapeutic uses. One of the benefit of alfalfa is that it acts as a diuretic and a digestive, as it is slightly laxative in nature. Alfalfa is also known to help in regulating the bowel's movement and improving the digestion process, which in turn helps in the better assimilation of the food consumption. Another one of the medicinal uses of alfalfa is that being a diuretic, it is also known to be very effective in the treatment of dropsy as well as the inflammation of the bladder, and that's why we have focused on further studies of the protein research. So the protein isolated from the Medicago sativa is a very important. So there may be one question in your mind: how to isolate the proteins from the leaves? Process is very simple. You can prepare proteins or you can isolate proteins by using the methodology adopted by Professor N.W. Pyrie by heat coagulation. Simple methodology. We know well, when we are boiling egg, means what we are doing? We are increasing the temperature, whatever the albumin present inside the egg, with 95 degrees centigrade temperature, that protein may get coagulated. The same principle we are applying here. You take leaves, grind that particular leaves, chop that leaves, then grind that leaves, and after subsequent pressing will release juice. So we collect juice here. So in this beaker, that is juice prepared from the lucerne, and this is the residue. It is called as press crop residue. Now what happened? This juice, after giving heat, after 95 degrees centigrade temperature, whatever may be the proteins which are present in the leaves, that proteins may get coagulated. That coagulated curd we can collect into a beaker. So here at the bottom, that leaf protein concentrate is there. So we have to filter it. Filtration process, we are using here cotton bag, cotton cloth. So inside this bag, leaf protein concentrate is collected, wherein in this tray, deproteinized juice, removal of protein. After that, whatever the liquid is there, it is called as deproteinized juice. As this DPJ is having maximum phenolic compounds, maximum alkaloids, maximum sugars, maximum vitamins, maximum minerals. So this is having also very great importance in the protein research. Now here in this beaker, that is deproteinized juice, and here in the petri plate, collection of leaf protein concentrate. So the collected leaf protein concentrate is in the form of crude protein. Now see here the uses of this DPJ. When we add this DPJ in the press crop residue, it will use as an animal feed. In addition to this animal feed, we can use this DPJ as a manure. And at last, we have used this DPJ as a medium for fungi. This is very important in microbial biotechnology. Nowadays, we are using this DPJ as a growth medium for microbial development. We are getting 10-fold increased result when we are growing fungi on the medium, that is DPJ, as compared to the professional medium. We are getting very good result with this. Now we have focus on the leaf protein concentrate. So here we got proteins. After purification, we have to concentrate on single protein. We have selected so many proteins from the lucerne plant, which is very important in effective treatment of so many diseases. If suppose if one protein, if you like from the Lucerne and you want to work on that protein, so you have to go for further research. So sequence alignment is very important. You take a protein and you have to analyze amino acid sequences. So there are so many organizations, they are doing this sequence analysis. So from a protein we'll get amino acid sequences. It may be up to 100, it may be up to 500, it may be 1000, or it may be more than that. So we'll get amino acids. So sequence similarity searching is a very important tool nowadays in as far as protein research is concerned. So what are the benefits? Why compare these sequences? If a protein from one plant is there, so all pharmaceutical industries will focus on that plant. So there may be chances of availability about that plant. If it is a rare plant, endangered plant, then also we have to think about the availability of that plant. So identify the sequences found in lab experiment. What is this thing I just found? This is very important. If you analyze one protein and you got protein sequence, then what type of protein is? You don't know the uses of that sequence or that protein. So with the help of this research, you will get to know this particular developed protein is used for what. So on NCBI, we are having so many databases. So the same sequence you upload on the NCBI website, there are so many tools on that website, and you will get to know the similar type of protein is available, where we have done so much research on the proteins, and you will get to know this same sequence is available on NCBI. What is the name of that protein, for which disease this protein is used, for what this particular sequence is used for, to cure which disease. This is very important. So this is the benefit of sequence searches, or compare the searches with the help of NCBI. So compare new genes to known ones. Compare genes from different species. If you got one gene from one plant, we don't know how many plants in the world they are having similar type of sequence. So you go for similarity searches. For example, if you upload one unknown sequence into the NCBI, and you will get to know similar type of sequences. For example, 40,000 plants are there, or 30,000 plants are there, or 10 plants are there, they are resembling similar type of proteins in the world. So you will recommend, yes, this is the plant where we'll get this type of protein. Guess the functions for entire genome full of new gene sequences. This also very important application of this methodology. Are there other sequences? This one means we can get to know. Already I have mentioned in detail. So huge public databases available in the form of GenBank, SwissProts, and etc. on the NCBI website. So sequence comparison is the most powerful and reliable method to determine evolutionary relationship between the genes. Similarity searching is based on the alignment. So we have to go for different algorithms, and by following that algorithm we'll get to know the details about the proteins. So BLAST and FASTA provides rapid similarity searches. So we have used FASTA form of the sequences to know the structure. We'll study different aspects of proteins which are available. So rapid, that is approximate, or false, different scores, positive and minus scores or charges we can get to know with the help of this technique. Now there may be one question in our mind. Yes, okay, we have one plant, then we know how to isolate the proteins from the plant. You will get crude proteins, then go for purification. The crude protein, after purification you will get the complete pure proteins. And if you want to know for what this protein is, or what are the uses of this protein, so simple, you go for protein sequencing or amino acid sequencing, and you got amino acid sequences. In first phase, you go up to 100 amino acids. So this is very much expensive technique. So first phase, you go for 100 amino acid sequences. Within the plant, if you have two different proteins, so we got amino acid sequences. Today I am going to show the similarity searches within the plants. Means from the same plant we got two different sequences of different proteins. So how to compare that? So here see, this in the figure, this is the amino acid sequences. So manually line up them and count. Try to know how many amino acids, repeated amino acids, how frequently they have repeated. For example, see on the screen alanine. So in first, see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then in second, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But here similar position is occur. Similar position is occur, which is shown in blue color. See now cytosine. So you see here similarity is there 3 times. Then glycine, which is shown in green color. See here 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times similarities we have observed. In addition to that, likewise you have to compare the sequences known with the unknown. If in unknown sequence, if you got the similarities, more resemblance, then we have to analyze that sequence also. So globally as well as locally, that alignment pattern is there. So manually you can align program, and that program can give us a clear idea. Or just use a text editor. There are so many text editors are available. You can edit that in the program and you will get to know the sequence. Then dot plot method is also available, which shows the regions of similarities isodiagonals. So that's all application of this similarity searches or sequence alignment. So this is regarding the FASTA form of amino acid sequences. So now, how many types of similarities we can get to know? So global versus local similarity is concerned. When you focus on the global similarity uses which complete aligned sequences, that is total percent matches. So GCG GAP program, Needleman and Wunsch algorithm we have used. So here you have to take 100% of matches. Whenever among the sequences it shows 100% matches, which gives us a clear idea about the global similarities. Wherein when we compare two sequences, the methodology adopted by the Smith-Waterman algorithm, GCG BESTFIT program. What happened here? Local similarity looks for best internal matching regions between two sequences. And here we have to take help of BLAST and FASTA. In addition to this, dynamic programming, that is the one more methodology wherein optimal computer solution, that is not approximate, we can use this facility also. So from the protein, crude protein, go for purification, then go for sequencing. Analysis part is concerned, we have to take help of NMR or mass spectroscopy or X-ray crystallography technique. So with these techniques, minimum technique, we can get to know the similarities among the protein within the plants, or we have to compare this protein sequence with the other plants also. Now here we got the protein sequence or amino acid sequences, that is FASTA results of alignment. So here two proteins we got the amino acid sequences. Now I am going to show how to compare these amino acids and what is the benefit of this comparison. Now see here, with the help of software, we have used here CM3D software which is freely available. We can compare these amino acid sequences. So following are the two sequences that are used for protein sequence alignment and sequence analysis. So first phase, you can take amino acid sequences up to 100. The second phase you can compare with up to 500. Then third you can compare with more than 1000 amino acid sequences. So now here I am taking only 2 amino acid sequences. So this is the sequence, this is the first sequence. So with the help of software, you just upload FASTA form of amino acid sequences on first link, and second link you have to upload the second protein sequence in the NCBI website. Now see here, in this particular window we are going to see plant cross protein alignment. So following slide shows sequence alignment with similar amino acids. So the colored orange color, see here, isoleucine resembles with the second amino acid. So this FMS, this is the sequence, first amino acid sequence. Then GAS, this is the second amino acid sequence, that is second protein. This is the first protein, FMS, and this is the second protein sequence, that is GAS. So now on fifth position, isoleucine is showing on both the amino acid sequences or both the proteins similar position. Now see here also the similar type of sequences is there. Here tyrosine, similar type of sequences which we have observed here. And likewise we have to compare the protein cross alignment, plant cross protein alignment. So this is a very important feature which is there in the similarity searches. So swap who, color residues, motif search, all these are different features available on the software, and with the help of that software we can study. So the window right now here in front of you, that is the result of GoCore software. Now in the same software, the color pattern, the color scheme applied by blue, which shows low charges, wherein the red color shows high charges present on the amino acids. So in the FMS, we have seen here a red color. It means that amino acid shows high color, which shows high charges which is present on the amino acids, wherein in the same sequence here, this is also one more amino acid which shows very less charges which are present on the amino acids. Now see here, maximum charges if it is available or low charges available, this shows the affinity among the foldings when a protein develop from primary, secondary structure, tertiary structure. So now the charges which are present on each and every amino acid, this will help for the folding of the amino acids. And likewise see here so many charges which are available on the protein. So this software will give us a clear idea. This is the GoCore software. With the help of this simple software, within 1 or 2 steps we'll get to know how many amino acids they are showing high charges and how many amino acids they are showing less charges present on the each and every amino acid. So this is also very important tool in protein research. Now as far as structure of protein is concerned, so CM3D software will help you when you take a FASTA form of sequence, upload that sequence on this software, and you will get to know. So the first sequence of amino acids or the first protein we have uploaded on this CM3D software, we got structure of protein is like this. So we can manipulate this structure. Now for example, when we are thinking about key-lock mechanism, we know every enzyme, they are going to attach on the substrate. So these enzymes are substrate specific. So if the structure of the substrate is a specific, accordingly that enzyme is there. So it is very essential to know the affinity between enzyme and substrate. If the affinity is more, then attachment is more. Attachment between enzyme and substrate is more. How to know this affinity? Then for that we have to calculate Km values. Michaelis-Menten equation, we have to calculate Km value. So Km and Vmax will give us more idea regarding the affinity among the enzyme and substrate. So here, for example, we have calculated Km values. So affinity is more. So here in this protein, we are showing here the amino acids with high charges, amino acids with low charges, and complete protein folding is there. So this will give us a very clear idea. So if a substrate is having some loops, for example, if this protein is showing here some loop is there, so accordingly if I want to increase the size of this loop, so what I will do, I will change the sequence on the software. So I will remove some of the amino acids and I will try to know how the structure is changed. For example, if a substrate is there and that substrate is showing us some cavity, whether this particular loop is fixed into that cavity or not, I will check. If it is fixed, and I will go for the result, what type of that substrate or how much time it will take to break down that particular substrate. This is also possible with the help of this software, and this will give us a clear idea. So if to cure some diseases, we know the substrate. So if we want to break down that particular substrate, we require proteins, we require enzymes. So what happen? We have to modify that proteins, and for modification under laboratory condition, it will take years time. But with the help of this advanced protein research technique, within few days we can control that particular disease. So we can break down that particular substrate within a short period of time. So this is very good advantage of this research. With the help of this protein research, or with the help of this proteomics, we get to know how to break down that particular substrate. So in brief, I will summarize today's discussion, that we got proteins from Lucerne. So this Lucerne is very important. So how to isolate the proteins? With the help of Green-Cross fractionation method, we will get leaf protein concentrate. So that particular leaf protein concentrate, which is available in crude form, then go for purification. After purification, you will get a specific proteins, and that specific protein, with the help of sequence, amino acid sequences analysis, after analysis of that protein, and we'll get the sequences, then that sequences we have to compare with other amino acid sequences within the plant or outside the plant, that is with the other plants which may be from that family, which may be from other families. We'll compare that particular sequences, and after comparison, either we have to see the charges which are present on the amino acids, or we have to know how much equidistance of that amino acid is present among the two different sequences, and at last we'll get to know the structure. How is the structure of that particular protein? So this will help three-dimensional structure prediction. The bioinformatics research, they are going to focus on 3D structure of a protein. So similar type of trend which we have observed, that is structure of proteins, 3D structure of proteins. And with this, I'm going to stop here. So at last, again I am thankful to the organizer of this conference for giving opportunity to interact with you. And at last, I am thankful to all the participants for this international e-conference. So thank you once and all.